Hello everyone, Dragoon here bringing you a Union Arena deck profile video. Today we're going to be looking at one of my favorite decks to play at the moment. Currently it is the Briggs deck, namely the Olivia Mira Armstrong group. This is one of the muscular factions in the anime, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. And as strong as they are in the anime, they hit just as hard, if not harder, in the card game. Now, this is not a regular take on it, as I do have a tech choice in this. One of the issues that I was having with the initial build with the deck was that it felt too clunky at times because you have so many cards that cost 2 AP. So with that, I merged a part of the Rory Mustang deck into this, and you'll see that as the deck progresses. And this has actually formulated a bit of a Hydra-like build, where the deck has the ability to put several threats on the board that your opponent has to pick and choose what to deal with at what time. That being said, there are still a few kinks that I am ironing out. Basically, small choices of playing 2 of this, 3 of this, so on and so forth. That being said, I've had a blast playing this deck. I absolutely love this deck, and I'm excited to share this deck with you. So, getting started, 4 Olivias, 4 Batos. These are Briggs cards, which are very important to hitting the 3 Briggs card for the cost reduction for Buccaneer. Olivia being a main target, Bato being a draw trigger is also great. And to round out our 0 cost, it's 4 Roys. He is the other raid target in this deck. One of the original problems that I had with this deck was Olivia being the only raid target, and I tried using Hawkeye because she lets you do the deck manipulation as well as making smaller bodies on the other side, but it didn't make sense to use Hawkeye because the Armstrong cards and Buccaneer just get so big, or they're already so big that like it didn't matter reducing your opponent's cards. So Roy, instead, I chose him to get rid of like smaller threats to force my opponent to either block with their bigger bodies or give me their life, basically. Going into the 1-drops, 4 more Roys. So now we have 8 cards for our 4 Roy raids. I always like to keep a 2-to-1 ratio when possible. He's pretty good. Nullify Impact gets stronger if you have no cards in hand, but the second effect doesn't really happen too often. Him having null impact as well as a draw trigger is like really good. Like this deck is full of draw triggers because you want to see key pieces, which is why I also play 2 copies of Hawkeye. Her on play skill is okay. You get to look at the top 2 cards of your deck and stack them to the top or bottom of your deck. And she's a draw trigger. Her being a draw trigger is it's the main reason why she's in here. Initially I was playing the 3-cost Hawkeye because on play, if Roy's in play, you draw a card. The problem with her is that the early game was hard to sequence her into the game flow, so to speak. So I wound up dropping that 3-cost Hawkeye for this next card, actually. 3 copies of the 2-cost 2 energy generator Edward. I do wish that this card was like a Briggs card. Like, yes, I know they have Miles, but Miles requires like 4 other Briggs in play, so 5 total for him to be a 2-cost. Well, 2 energy generator, and this just felt better. You just play it, you know, if you can get this out, if you go like first, you get this out on turn 2. If you go second, you get this out on turn 2, and it just provides like the bridge that you need to hit the 4, 5, and 6 energy quicker. A lot easier without you having to hold cards. Going into my 3-cost for the color trigger Olivia's, this card's okay. I can understand why they locked it to 1 per turn, because you would be able to build a big ass field if she wasn't a hard once per turn. So how you proc her effect is you play a card that costs 2 AP, and then when you play her, you untap energy, so she essentially comes out for free. There's an interaction with Fort Briggs that if you play that and you play her to follow, you essentially get to untap a mana for free. The problem with that though is that it requires like a certain setup in play, so a lot of times I just wind up playing her as a vanilla. You know, if I get her, I always look at her effect as like kind of win wars. Like if I get it, great. If not, I'm not losing sleep over it. So since I've started playing it like that, it's become a lot more effective with or without the effect. Went into the 4-cost. I do play 4 Buccaneers. This is probably the best Brig card in the entire deck, truthfully. Active Vein, he gets 1000 BP and impact until the end of your opponent's attack phase, and then he gets sent to the sideline and you draw a card. So he's a 5k attacker and defender. If you use the raid on the same turn that you play him, he gets switched to active. You can get some offense off him immediately. Him being a 5k blocker even though he does die at the end of the turn or at the end of your opponent's attack phase, it's just really good. So I took that into consideration because initially I wasn't too fond of this card, and then him getting the actual AP reduction if you have 3 or more Briggs cards in play is just great. Like overall he's really good. Even with like Fort Briggs, you can play him for free basically. And then I do play a single copy of Edward Elric. Now, this is an interesting card. In a way, I wish it was a get trigger, so that way I could like just play that one and be okay. I do play this at 1 because it's very easy early enough to get 4 energy and be able to just play him, take a life, switch him to active, give offense immediately. And he's a 4K body for 4 health, well, for 4 energy, excuse me. So he's a pretty solid card. You could also discard 2 cards from your hand to give him impact. So he also plays in alongside the Roy Mustang raid very well. So he's just kind of, again, a win more-ish card. At 1, I feel perfectly okay. I wouldn't play him at more than 1 personally in any deck. Going into the 5 cost, we are playing the first of 2 raids. Roy Mustang. On raid, you draw a card. Then, when you attack, you can discard a card. Well, you target a unit and discard cards basically to the unit's BP by 1,000 and then blow it up. So you gotta blow up a 2K, you discard 1 card because he targets 1K base, and then you discard to increase it by 1,000, and so on and so forth. So yeah, like I mentioned, he has 3 uses, personally. The first use is to get rid of small bodies. No chump blocking here. The second use is to get rid of annoyances, stuff that has like nullify impact or just like your opponent's like typical raid targets. Like perfect to get rid of them. He'll snipe them right off the front board. The third is that he is also a win con. If you have no cards in your hand, he gets impact. And because of the 2 AP Armstrong, it's very easy to just discard your hand, use Armstrong, draw 2 cards, and then next turn when you draw, you'll have 3, action point draw 4, and then you're right back into business and just blowing stuff up. So he is a really, really good Swiss Army knife for the deck. Provides a lot of value, and he doesn't get in the way of the deck, which is the important part. And then my favorite 5 cost in the entire deck, 3 copies of Alex. Now, initially I ran this at 4, but I saw him too much, and him being 5 energy with 2 AP is a big cost. That being said, the value that Alex provides in his deck is like literally second to none. He has damage 2, naturally. So 4,500 body, naturally. And once per turn, when he wins a battle, you draw 2 cards. Typically speaking, your opponent is going to be okay with giving up 2 damage early. But as the game progresses, once they hit like 4 lives, 3 lives, they're not taking that damage too. So he's going to actively draw you 2 cards every turn. And with the Armstrong raid, his sister, she's able to switch him into active so you can get that attack off again. Your opponent is going to be put in a position where they have to choose between destroying this, Buccaneer, Roy at times, or even the Armstrong raid herself. Overall, this guy just glues the power and strength into the forefront of the deck. And him being a 4,500 body means that he can contest almost every raid in the game without dying, which is something that not a lot of cards get to do. This card, I wouldn't say is overtuned because he's still 5 energy, 2 AP, and yes, you can get the 5 energy quite easily in the deck. But there's a lot of spot removal and card reduction and stuff like that. I feel like this is a very strong card for what this deck needs, and I absolutely love this card. Closing out our units, it's 3 Olivias. I have 1 in the mail to finish out my 3 altars, so excuse this ugly one here. I'm kidding, she's beautiful. But yeah, so on raid, you switch all your Briggs cards into active, which is great. Because Fort Briggs, for example, the site card comes in rested. So with this, you're able to raid over it, and if you played a card that costs 2 AP, it switches to active, you can rest it and then draw a card. So it has a little combo with that. This also lets Buccaneer and Alex Armstrong attack the turn they're played. Granted, Armstrong will still be rested because he's not a Briggs card, so he doesn't get the effect of when she's raided, like to untap all your Briggs cards. But when she does attack, you can discard a card to switch Alex into active, and then he's able to punch somebody in the face for you. So she's a good card. I do wish she was a little stronger, like maybe 4,500 BP, but I understand why she isn't. And her, it's funny because while she is the leader of the Briggs, her role here is more supportive than it is leadership. But that's what a good leader is, right? A good leader supports and shows you the way So I actually, she is the perfect leader for this deck. Going into the non-character cards, our 2 site cards are 2 Fort Briggs. I constantly go back and forth between playing 3 of this and 2 of her, or 3 of her and 2 of this. And right now, I feel like this is comfortable. Fort Briggs is a win more-ish card in the deck. When you play it, the next Briggs card you play costs 1 AP less, and whenever you play it, a Briggs card that has a 2 AP cost, you can rest this to draw a card. That second effect is a hard once per turn. That second effect being a hard once per turn is why this card's at 2. If I could do that with multiple copies, I think it would still only be at 3 of, but the extra cards might feel a little overpowered. But that being said, it's a good card. 2 energy, the 1 AP less cost is great. But overall, I don't know if this deserves to be at more than a 2 of in this version of the deck. And then the last cards of the deck are obviously the finals and the specials. Not really explain about these. These are staples in every decks. So I know it's been a while since I've uploaded. I've kind of been playing a lot of Commander, truthfully, and I have a friend that's teaching me how to play Gundam despite me not knowing too much about the Gundam universe itself because I didn't watch the animes growing up. The card game itself is actually built quite nicely and it's been fun. So that's where I've been, but I promise you I have not forgotten Union Arena. This is still my #1 game, and I will be uploading my updated Lengyao deck at some point. With that being said, I want to thank you guys for watching. Thank you for every new subscriber I have. Thank you for every returning subscriber. It's been great to see this channel grow over this last year, and I'm truly, truly humbled and very, very grateful. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Until next time.